Welcome on another episode of Democracy Innovator Podcast. And our guests of today are Guillaume Saunier and Lucien Langton. And sorry again for my pronunciation, and welcome here.
Hi, nice to meet you. Nice. Hello.
Pleased to meet you.
And you have a company that is called Octree, right?
Yes.
Would you like to tell us something about it? What is doing?
Yeah, sure. If you want, Lucien can introduce a bit Octree, and then I'll talk about the civic tech project that we have called Voca.
Sure, of course. Well, first of all, thank you for the invitation. Really happy to share our work here and to discuss civic tech with you here. So Octree is a tech co-op which is based in Switzerland and which exists now since about 10 years. And our aim is to launch different digital commons, different products, but based on free and open source software and open source governance in the field of basically the social and ecological transition. And so we have different projects concerning different aspects of this. Some projects are about mobility, others are about waste management, et cetera. But one of our projects is around an existing civic tech called Decidim. And our main interest, so the name of this project is Voca. And that's, I think, why we're here to talk about civic tech with you. And so to introduce briefly Voca, I'll let Guillaume speak, but perhaps for myself, I can just introduce my background. So I come from interaction design and interface design. And it's been now since, I'd say, 2019 that I've been working on design aspects of civic tech, and especially the product design of building civic tech in an approach of digital commons. So that's where I come from. Guillaume?
Yeah, and I'm Guillaume. I've joined Octree 3 years ago to work on the partnerships and the fundraising and talking like the outside, communicating with the outside from the Voca's perspective. And Voca is a civic tech project that we have been working on since the past 3-4 years now, but officially launched it 2 years ago. It comes out of our work with Decidim that we've been doing for public institution in Switzerland. So mainly the canton of Geneva, the city of Lausanne, the city of Neuchâtel, the canton of the Valais. So the French-speaking side of Switzerland. And from that experience, we decided to build a SaaS product that is based on Decidim. And we've been exploring a lot around what that SaaS product should be. And today, Voca is mainly aiming at distributing and simplifying and removing barriers to entry to Decidim for public institution, of course, but also really focusing on bringing this product and this technology to other actors. And when I say removing barriers to entry and simplifying, really on the technology side, making it easier to use and making it more targeted towards the needs and the needs of the participants and the organization that are doing participation work, and also trying to bring the cost of using Decidim to a point where not only public institution can afford a Decidim platform. Yeah.
And when you had the idea, that a simplified version of Decidim was helpful, and also if you can if you remember how you got to know about Decidim, like because you came from UX design, you came from more financial economic, I don't know, Guillaume. So how did it happen?
Sure. I mean, I can answer on the idea why Voca, and maybe Lucien, you can tell a bit of the story of Decidim at Octree. I think that simplifying Decidim really came out of our experience in working with public institution, and also the experience that we've seen around with Decidim, seeing that it started out, obviously of Barcelona, but then mainly large European cities were able to install this technology, and the technology remained very cumbersome in the sense that you have to train a team, you have to have a budget for consulting work, you had to really dedicate resources to that product, and obviously keeping the product inside those large public institutions in our opinion, prevents and hinders the ability for civil society, associations, organizations, any type of non-profits or any type of mission-driven organization that already have participation at heart, and they already use methodologies of participation. They already have frameworks of collective decision making, but they don't have a tool for it. And so we thought, and the idea is really if we can make the tool fit their need and not make it an extra layer of work, not make it a financial burden to their activity, but really make it something that can help them achieve their goals, then we can hope for a larger adoption and a distribution of Decidim at scale, where different types of organization can use the product.
Yeah, and concerning how we started working with Decidim, actually, it was a contact of us, clients and friends who came from academia and political science in Geneva, who started working as a participatory expert for the state of Geneva, and who simply contacted us asking if we knew about the project Decidim in 2018, if we could install it. And we had a look at it, and since the beginning, we do have one of our core skills at Octree is also to handle Ruby on Rails code, and Decidim is based on Ruby on Rails. It's not this easy to find engineers which are fluent with Ruby on Rails, but this was our case, and it seems interesting enough that we give it a try. And that was the first Decidim platform in Switzerland, so it was in 2019 it was set up. And then the next 3-4 years, a lot of different Decidim platforms popped up in Switzerland, about 8 at the total now. And so some of them are managed by us, and some of them are managed by another actor who is also part of the Decidim association, so we can really collaborate together. And I think the really the switching point in this story is that, as I mentioned in the beginning, we're a tech co-op, and we're really rooted in self-organization and distributed governance. And we discovered Decidim and thought, hey, this looks a little bit like tools like Lumio or other tools that teams can use to make decisions more collaborative and transparent. And so our hypothesis was, okay, if we really want widespread democracy in society, perhaps we should not focus on structures which are already held accountable to hold these democratic frameworks, such as public institutions, cities, neighborhoods, etc. But we should probably investigate how we can, backport civic tech tools to more community-oriented structures. And so basically, that's the work we've been trying to do through Voca, is to bridge this gap in the civic tech field between tools like Lumio and classic civic techs like, Citizen Lab, Console, Decidim, etc.
And at the moment, what is possible to do, like with Voca? Is it simplified, like only in terms of design, like UX? So you can do the same things that are doable on Decidim, or like less functions. I don't know.
So basically, when we say simplifying, so I'm going to just go a little bit into how this team is organized in order for listeners and you to understand like what we mean by simplify. So this team is structured around participatory spaces, and those participatory spaces are have a function or a dedicated function, like a process or an assembly or a conference. And when you get a Decidim platform, traditionally, you have access to all those spaces. And then it's inside those spaces that you can activate the different functionalities of Decidim, which are, to a vote or a proposal or, shared calendars. And so what the switch that we're making is that rather than offering the entire scope of spaces and the unlimited amount of processes with the unlimited amount of votes that you can run and the unlimited amount of assemblies, which we have seen can be very overwhelming for users that this just doesn't answer the need of a user that just wants to run a participatory process or that wants to have an open governance structure for its association or its cooperative. So what we did is that we're splitting up those spaces into an individual space, and that individual space will answer a specific need. So if you are hoping to run a participatory budget, rather than having a platform on which you can run a participatory 3 or 4 or 5 participatory budget while you're also running a citizen assembly, while you're also running neighborhood councils, we will only provide you with the space and the part that allows you to run that participatory budget process. And maybe you can start to imagine why having all those spaces at once can be very interesting for a city that is, a few million people or a couple of million people city. But for an organization that just wants to, do an experiment or, or have or standardize a process that they take every year, we think and we've seen that it's just more targeted to their need and less overwhelming in terms of functionalities and options. And maybe Lucien, you want to add something on that?
No, thank you. I think that was really well summed up. I think what's kind of brilliant with this is that we also learned a lot from experiments with customers. One of the people and projects we've been working with is Ruth Cheesley from Mautic, which is an open source project, which is international. So Mautic is basically a marketing automation software, but which is open source and which is managed by a community of contributors worldwide. And they didn't have any tool to organize their community and to have a clear governance, basically. And so this is a case where typically Decidim can really be of use to a large community which really needs clarity in order to simply function and have clear operations. However, they can't really meet in person because half of their contributors are from India, Africa, the States, the UK, etc. So, I mean, Decidim is perfect for this type of use case. And I think we're at a turning point where we see a lot of a lot of initiatives and tech co-ops which are still grounded in a country or a city or a community bound by a space, but you also have a growing number of international decentralized communities which really need tools to organize themselves. So that's the interesting take.
And do you have other case studies like that are interesting? This one about Matic is it's very cool.
Sure. I'm just trying. Yeah, go ahead, Lucien.
No, I think to frame a bit the question, since we're trying to kind of design an open SaaS on a digital common, which is Decidim, there are several design constraints which help us to test our approach, right? So one of this tests is with open source online communities, such as Matic. But we also tested Voca in other contexts, which are really different. So we have a project where we're trying to, or where we actually did bridge civic tech with the humanitarian field in Tanzania. And that was a whole other challenge because people in Tanzania don't even have computers, they all have smartphones. So we needed to enable participation large scale in a country which is not known for its democratic maturity, let's say. And so anonymity plays a large role also in who will participate how. And perhaps, Guillaume, you could tell a word about this one. We have another project in Colombia too, which is quite interesting.
Yeah. So on that one, in Tanzania, it's interesting because they're also trying to solve how to distribute like participation and tools for participation in different regions. So we're working with a humanitarian organization based in Norway, and they they have the ambition to use participation to gather better the needs of the populations that are affected by their programs. And so we're running a pilot in Tanzania. And as Lucien said, the constraints are obviously the lack of connectivity and the low-tech devices, and the fact that even if people have smartphones, but they surely don't have a desktop computer or a laptop computer, and they, interestingly enough, they also don't have email addresses. And all those platforms like Decidim are based on a login with email. So the first challenge was to get people on the platform, create an account, but without an email and without a desktop and a laptop and low connectivity. So we implemented a chatbot based on WhatsApp. So the participants only use WhatsApp to interact with Decidim. They do not go on the Decidim platform. They can go on the Decidim platform if they wish to, but they're not really going on there because they don't need to. So they can join processes through the chatbot, and it's one phone number, one WhatsApp phone number, one WhatsApp profile per process. So they join that process, and then they get send information and call to actions. So the call to action can be read some news, or it can be write a proposal or vote on proposals. And they interact with the chatbot, and their profile in the Decidim instance is just based on their WhatsApp phone number, and then anonymized. So the organization, the administrators of the platforms, don't know which profile is they just know that a profile is participating. They don't know who that profile is. So that's one case study. And what's on the distributing aspect of it is that the objective of that organization is to be able to implement those processes across their different country offices, and not keep the administration of it at the headquarters, with a like kind of top-down approach, but really have the local offices use the tool for their participatory needs in their context. And they obviously all have very different contexts, but they're all humanitarian ones. So sub-Saharan Africa, or some Asian countries, or a little bit of Central America, or the Caribbean, like Haiti or something like that. So that's one other case study. And then another one, which I can quickly go into, is how we are helping participation professionals. So the people that actually work in the field of participation. So those are, labs or co-ops or companies that have as a customer a city or government or regional organization that are mandated to run participatory processes, and they've been sometimes doing it for 20 years, running participatory budgets, or citizen assemblies, or all those kinds of processes. And they're usually also asked by their customer to provide a digital tool with it, or use some digital component to their process. And what we figured out is that up to today, they have to manage with a set of different tools. So they're going to use a survey tool here. Maybe they're going to have a web, like a web page to communicate on. Then they're going to maybe use some other spreadsheet here. Or it's like they really have no digital tool that is tailored for them and that answers their need and what they do on a day-to-day basis. So we are exploring with two participation offices here in Switzerland on how to build a way of using Decidim that is adapted to them, so they can launch a process for their customer where they need it. And they can also, this also means that they can add some value, some value to their usual practice, and also offer a digital solution to their customer. And so they can add like a new practice to the work that they've been doing, and they can also rely on a tool that is designed with them in mind, and not just having to use whatever they can find.
This made me think about the call that we had, I don't know, last month, when you were talking about this Tanzan AI project. I mean, I was understanding that, and at a certain point I was asking, so tell me more about it. Is there a white paper? Because I thought it was some project related to AI, so this Tanzan AI, and then I understood that it was Tanzania. And this made me think about how many misunderstandings can happen between humans. But I was wondering, this lack of technology in some way means also a lack of knowledge. And so how the people, what was their experience related to using Decidim, like with this WhatsApp bot? Like, do you had any feedback from them?
Look, I'm to be pretty honest, it's quite challenging for multiple reasons. First of all, as Lucien mentioned, there is the building the trust in people's ability to share their opinions, even if it's not the opinion about the current government or something like that. It's just the opinion about a humanitarian actor that's helping them. Is just asking them like what they feel and what they need. And we're also running a process on peace and peace building during elections, because Tanzania is going through these elections this year in Tanzania, and there's been a lot of violence. And it's so building this trust, even though you tell them it's anonymous and they can share in a country where when people share their political opinion, they might disappear or something might happen to them, or we don't know, is the biggest challenge. And then the second challenge is more on a technological one for us, is that this is a pilot project, and we're obviously facing some issues here and there, and sometimes people receive the so there's been a bit of mishaps, but I think this is like kind of part of every any type of this project. And then I would say that the third challenge is on training the local teams, the local people that work in the NGO on the ground, to build a mindset where they are communicating to the right holders through WhatsApp when they have had the experience of only communicating back to the NGO and writing reports and making, and it's like they have to build a new skill, and so this takes a fair amount of time as well. But we are overcoming all those challenges, and we're getting users. I mean, I think the platform is gaining users every month, every time the NGO people go out there and show and invite people to the WhatsApp chatbot. Like, the numbers of the participation are actually quite interesting, and they're higher than I would have imagined for the first pilot. Because there's also not so much friction. You just send a WhatsApp message and you participated. So once you build that trust, you have massified a bit, because it takes time to go to all the villages to share the number, and it doesn't work on someone's phone because they're doing something, and it takes a bit of time. But once it's installed, once it's functioning, the groups that it's installed and functioning for a few weeks, people do participate.
And if I may add, it's quite interesting what you mentioned about how introducing a tool like Decidim actually requires to change in-house habits from let's say the NGO. We see this also with public administrations when Decidim is introduced, and I would say this. Of course, it's not always easy to manage, but it's almost a success metric, because it means that the new tool actually introduces change in the way people work, relates to citizens, relate to end users, interact and collaborate together. And so, of course, it doesn't work in every city, but in a lot of cities, we see that dynamics are actually changing in-house because there's this new tool. So, I think it's a nice metric to keep change management in mind when introducing a civic tech tool.
I really like the WhatsApp approach because it's easier for people to participate. Otherwise, there is this sort of cognitive load when you have to use a new tool, and sometimes it's challenging, and usually people just don't participate, maybe. And I'm thinking about numbers. Like, how many, I don't know, municipalities, NGOs, or are using now Voca? If you have some numbers, if you...
I was on mute. I think on the Decidim implementations, I think that I'm not the... I don't have this number on top of my head, but it's something around 300 platforms that have been installed. Maybe more, I'm not sure. Us at Voca, we run like 5 municipal platforms in Switzerland. Plus, with Voca, we have about another 10 customers that use the smaller the smaller version of Decidim. But I mean, this Voca, those simplified processes that and those those standalone processes or standalone this mini Decidims have only been launched for a few months. So we're still experimenting, but we're getting good feedback from the first customers.
Yeah, and I'd say it's fair to say that during the past 2 years, we've been in this experimentation process because we really acknowledge the fact that civic tech is still an emergent field. And even if you have leading actors that are kind of trying to sell really hard, like Granicus, to public administrations, or in mass market products like in the States or in, let's say, in Northern Hemisphere, we really believe that things are quite fragile. And perhaps one indicator of this is how fragile they are also democratically in countries, especially like the United States. And so before, when Guillaume was mentioning that our aim is to simplify the use of Decidim, we also have the aim in parallel, and what we do on the concrete level is to broaden and deepen the use cases of Decidim. So we also build modules around Voca, and this is why the chatbot, the WhatsApp chatbot is one of the modules, but we also have another module around participatory cartography, which is used by cities, but which is also used by, remote indigenous tribes in Brazil. So we do have many use cases which are kind of starting to build bridges between different contexts where people need to use Decidim. And this is quite an interesting, product design field research, you could say, in civic tech, because it really enables us to find the right balance between specificity and tackle the right features that people need, and at the same time have the right level of simplification for a tool like Decidim.
Yeah, I really like the modular approach, and I wonder which modules you already developed and which other you want to develop.
Sure. I mean, we have a lot of. Oh, sorry, Guillaume. Did you want to go? No. Okay. We have a lot of specific modules that we did only for 1 or 2 clients, but the main modules we support now are 3 modules. We have the chatbot module, which at the end of the day is actually an open API so that you can actually build interoperability between Decidim and other civic techs. So it's not restricted only to WhatsApp, but it can also be used on, Discord, Telegram, etc. At least the integration is thought in this way and designed in this way. So that's one module around, let's say, more reaching out to participants. The other module is Decidim Geo, which is the participatory cartography module. This one is quite interesting because it enables the large scale gathering of data, and in some contexts, not only urban contexts in the Northern Hemisphere, but let's say for biodiversity preservation, it's really useful to be able to pinpoint on a map large scale data from participatory sources. And the third module is a module which is really used actually, which is called Spam Signal, and which basically just enables to set a simple set of rules in order to lower unwanted and solicited messages and spams on platforms. So it's designed so that you can't use it to basically censor content, and it preserves as much as possible the freedom of the user which has an account on the platform, but still you can enable certain rules, like to ban certain keywords like domain name extensions, for instance, so that it pre-filters out certain types of content. So these are the three modules. And perhaps, I mean, the last one, Spam Signal, is really a practical use case, but actually it offers a really nice testing ground on what limits can the ethical frame of a tool like Decidim maintain to ensure that the debate stays democratic, that you don't have moderation beforehand, but only reactive moderation. You avoid censorship, so it's kind of an interesting use case. And for Decidim Geo, the interesting part is that mainly, if you look at the design aspect of civic text, you have two categories of civic text. You have categories. Category A of civic tech is the category that is built on an abstraction of what democracy is like. So you have, processes with steps and perhaps buttons to submit proposals and a grid to show all the proposals like Decidim. And the other approach in civic tech design is about having everything on a map, like let's say Mapionaire. So you have an interactive map and everybody can participate directly on the map. And so Decidim Geo enables us to test the bridging between these two categories of designs.
And now you want to add anything, Guillaume? Or
to that,
okay.
It's fine. It's okay.
No, I was wondering, so because also Decidim has modules, right? And but so the modules that are developed for Voca are not compatible for Decidim and vice versa, right? Or not?
Not. They are compatible with other Decidim versions. Yeah, and we are active members of the Decidim community. So our aim is just to act as a easy entry point to Decidim and distributor, let's say easy access distributor of Decidim, because you can say Decidim is free software, so it's easy of access, but as long as you don't know how to install a platform, it's not this easy, and a lot of people which are really concerned with Decidim are activists, which are already handling a lot of different aspects, and they don't necessarily feel at ease to, spend days installing a Decidim platform, so.
Yeah. Wonderful. I like the fact that is that the models work on both platforms, and also it's very interesting the fact about democratic processes. What you say, the abstraction, and the other way of like everything on a map. So something. A different way of visualizing maybe problems and having maybe a different kind of participation. And I wonder like if you have any other models that you would like to develop, but I don't know, maybe they are difficult to develop. If you are struggling with some problems that you want to, I don't know.
Yeah, it's too bad we don't have our dev on this call, because he has a whole book full of modules that he has like imagined in his mind and he would like to develop. But I can expand a little bit on what we're doing in terms of the distribution, because we're developing modules for that, and it's basically how. And so this is part of what we're doing in Colombia, but also in Neuchâtel in Switzerland. And that's how we are building a tiny module that for now we call the generator, that allows users, participants, that to directly connect to a Decidim platform and generate a process or an assembly and generate like another smaller Decidim platform on their own without having to request. So you can build like a request access so only an admin can do it. But the point is that you shouldn't have to ask the admin, and you can generate this standalone Decidim from an existing Decidim platform and just add it to the URL. And so for us, that we're working on that one to solve the, because it all started in this with our customer in Neuchâtel, where they wanted to have the associations, the organizations, the communities of the city have their own Decidim. But the uptake of that has been limited because organizations just feel that they're putting some work to advertise on another website from the city because they don't feel like it's their website, they don't feel like it's their Decidim, it's the colors of the city, the logo of the city everywhere. And so what we did and later enhanced in Cali, in Colombia, with a partner, is that now the associations, the groups, the communities from the main platform launch their own private space, in which they can change the color, add their logo, but they don't need to ask from us or from the city or from anyone to do it. They just fill a form and generate that mini standalone participatory space. So that's a module we're working on right now. And for now, it's just a generator, but maybe I'll have a better name soon.
And if Lucien want to add anything, or
I guess there's a lot to say, but basically I'd say one of the challenges this could help tackle is to bridge top-bottom participation, such as the ones already performed by public administrations, and bottom-up participation, such as the ones already done everywhere by associations and social workers. So the idea is to find the right balance between these two modes so that they can trust each other and coexist with enough autonomy.
Okay, and would you like to share maybe something related to your more personal life, like I don't know, from your childhood? Where did you grow up? What are your hobbies? What were your hobbies?
I'm trying to share. I live in Switzerland now. I live in the mountains of Switzerland. I don't live where Octree is based, but I grew up in France, in Paris, and I would say that personally, I give a lot of energy and I put my what I can for this project, because I do think that a project like Decidim is a tool if we can if it can be uptake by communities, associations, all those groups that are constantly struggling in the defense of their rights, in the defense of whatever thing they're fighting for. I think it's a project that can help structure and build agency towards whoever they are in a position, and they're trying to, and so for me it's a tool that help communities, helps us build agency in order for us to achieve better, because we can use some of the tools like the archiving processes, which seems and it's a difficult one, because for all those people that are doing so much, telling them that they also need to spend time archiving seems terrible. But if we can make this archiving process, the fact that we have everything noted down, the fact that we can have traceability of the actions taken, we have transparency on the decision-making process that allows us to have more agency in negotiating and in pushing back against whichever state or corporate or whatever power that we have to gain back control on. Wow.
That's a reference to Cheeto, how they call them. So that was way outside just childhood, but I guess no. What I can say is I was born in San Francisco, but I grew up in Switzerland, and I wasn't at all a fan of technology since, and I'm still not really, actually. But I didn't start to work with technology until design school, where I figured out that there was really a strong lack of designers in technology. And by designers, I mean, people who can defend a critical viewpoint and not just design shiny new objects to buy. And I feel like the intersection of activism, design, and civic tech, particularly around the notion of digital commons and alternatives to, let's say, capitalism or standard capitalism, is quite an interesting place to question a lot of different aspects of society. And so I'm pretty grateful that our work at least enables us to ask these questions, first of all, for ourselves, and to have these discussions with civic tech enthusiasts and entrepreneurs and researchers like yourself. So thank you for having us.
Thank you. It's always nice to talk about these kind of topics because sometimes it's hard also in outside to talk about civic tech. People don't really know what is, and I think you have to leave soon, or you have some other minutes for another question. That is actually, if you have any message for the people in the civic tech space, people that are exploring, finding new solutions, experimenting. So like you.
Okay, I'll give one quick message and then I'll leave it to Lucien. But my quick message is that in the space, I think there's so many areas of collaboration, so many things, so many projects that we can work on together, building bridges. We are. I'm on the partnership side, and I always want to figure out ways to partner and to collaborate with other organizations, the civic tech space overall.
And my final thought would be that with all the talks going around AI, let's not forget that governance is made by humans, and that AI governance is a real subject. And for that, I bet we could organize an assembly on a Decidim platform powered by Voca. But concretely, let's not forget that we're not going to automate governance out of humans. I mean, humans need to collaborate and to have transparent, accountable mechanism in order to ensure a safe society for all. So, yeah, we're not gonna outsmart and out tech ourselves out of governance. We need to tackle these issues on the human side.
Yeah, I'm also quite scared by the black box that could maybe better than many politicians that we have now, but only maybe in the short term. And in the long term, I will be very worried about possible outcomes. So thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm actually curious to try Voca to see how it works.
Sure. Yeah.
We can book another call if you want.
Absolutely.